What's going on, guys? I wanted to make a quick video and talk and show you guys through how I took down the $9 slant on Thanksgiving. $9, it's a $9 entry, and first place paid out 15,000. So you can see this team in particular that took it down had Josh Allen, Isaiah McKenzie, and Devin Singletary. So kind of a double stack and run it back with a Detroit player, Amon-Ra St. Brown, which he kind of went nuclear. And then Ramondre Stevenson, one of the most heavily owned players on that slate. I have both of them, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Ramondre. Hence why I bought this Ramondre jersey, because the man paid me out. But Ramondre Stevenson, I kind of ran a mini correlation with Adam Thielen. He was my low owned. Same with Isaiah McKenzie, but he was part of the stack. But Adam Thielen was kind of the reason I made the money I did, because he played in the last game of the day and scored and put up 21 points. So that was huge, with Justin Jefferson in the lineup as well. So little correlation on those 3-game slates. You kind of have to have a bunch of correlation because you don't need everything to go right, but whenever you do have something go right, you need to have the pieces fall in place together. So let's cover how I did all of this, how I make my lineups, and I'm gonna kind of show and teach you guys how I use my lineup optimizer in my normal process. So let's go over to the optimizer. So what this is basically a piece of software that you can use to make your lineups for you. In DraftKings, they limit your entries in one contest to 150 entries per person. Theoretically, if you max enter the contest, that's going to give you the most bullets to take down the contest and the best odds of taking down the contest. Yes, it can be expensive. For this contest, it's $9, 150 entries, so it's a $1,300 entry fee. So if you don't take one down from time to time, you could be looking pretty bad in the long run. So it is a slippery slope, but you just have to know how to get the optimizer to work for you and how to tweak how to pull each lever, each setting that an optimizer has in it to work for you. So the first thing that I do when I make my lineups every single Sunday, when I max enter contests, is I pick my player pool. So for the Thanksgiving slate, it was the 3 games. And I was very high. Obviously, you can see the Buffalo-Detroit game had the highest total on the board by almost 10 points. It was supposed to be a shootout. That's where all your fantasy goodness is going to come from. So I wanted to have quite a bit of that game in all of my lineups. So let me kind of show you the settings and the levers I pulled to make all of that happen and fit the lineup together the way I wanted it to. So the first step is just to pick your player pool. You can choose as many players as you want, but you kind of want to limit. If you pick every player, you got to eliminate some things. Like in this case, I eliminated Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins actually was the best quarterback on the slate. Well, Mac Jones was, but he was 3% owned, so it didn't come and hurt me in the end. But I knew Josh Allen and Jared Goff had a pretty good chance of making the first place lineup. So I, as you can see, set my exposure to Josh Allen at 67%, and I got over the field. He was owned 51% in this contest. I was over the field on him. Jared Goff, same thing. 10%. I was 23%. So I wanted a lot of that game. Let me just show all of my player pool before we continue here. Here's Ramondre. I thought he was a good play, but not a must-have per se. Like, his ownership percentage was 46%, and I capped him at 40%. So that's how much I got of him in all of my lineups. Singletary, 35% owned, 42 is what I got. He was a fine play, but I secretly like James Cook a little bit more because I thought he could take over that backfield, and he's $4,400, which didn't end up happening. Wide receiver, I'm just going to kind of just keep flowing through this. Just pause the video if you need to see the exposures, but the thumbs up and thumbs down mean it's just knocking down that player a couple more percent. So if I'm have Steph Diggs at 21.7 projected, I'm knocking him down. I think this goes by each thumbs down is 3%. So I knocked him down 6% of the 21.7. And if I like a player, I want more exposure to him, I'd thumbs up them. Here's tight end. In this case, I had Dalton Schultz as my tight end in the winning lineup. And defense, I used all 6 defenses. The Lions, obviously, I didn't want much of because they're playing Josh Allen, my quarterback, and I didn't want to have my quarterback go against the Lions defense on the other side. So the meat and potatoes of how this happens is the rules, which is what's on the screen right now. You can make all of these different kind of rules, and each of them are a different lever you can pull, and that's going to make your lineups look a little bit different than the rest of the field. So in this case, the most important rules that I usually use on a weekly basis is I want a low-owned player. So it was a 3-game slate, and believe it or not, 20% owned was kind of contrarian. On a main slate, it's chalky, but on a 3-game slate, it is contrarian. So I wanted at least one player from this list in every single lineup. Now, I cut the ownership at 20%, and you can really get into trouble. You can see right here, Adam Thielen was one of the main reasons I won. If he was not in this group, and I X'd him out, if I don't have him in this, I would need one of these players in every single lineup. None of these players were in that lineup for me. Well, Isaiah McKenzie, which is fine. And I could have got Adam Thielen elsewhere, but if he wasn't in this group, chances are I might not have taken down that tournament. So my highest owned player in this group was Adam Thielen. Luckily, I left him in this group. I also make the rule of I want to limit my studs and scrubs lineups. I want more balanced lineups because most of the field is going to pick Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Ramondre, and have like 2 or 3 cheap players and just go studs and scrubs in most of their lineups. So I wanted to be contrarian. I wanted to stay away from that build. So I made max 2 cheap players of these guys. These are all of the cheap salaries that were pretty much in the player pool of mine. I wanted at most 2 of them. I have different quarterback rules. We'll stay with the Josh Allen, the Buffalo stuff. I wanted at least 2 of his pass catchers in every lineup, and I wanted at least 1 run back in every single lineup. So in this case, the one that won me all the money was Singletary and McKenzie, run it back with ASB. And then I just make other just random smaller rules, like I don't want Devin Singletary and James Cook together, so I negatively correlate them. Or I don't want all 3 of those with Josh Allen in the same lineup. That would probably never happen unless it's like a 1-game slate. So there's just different things that you can make rule-wise to get your lineups working the way that you want them to. That's all I'm going to get into rules. Well, those were the groups. Roles, these were the roles I had. I don't really want to talk about those. They're just really basic. And then my optimizer I set to have 2 different players per lineup in it. I set a salary cap min. I allowed tight end in my flex, 3 players against my defense. And so that is basically the meat and potatoes of my whole build. So 3 quarterbacks was contrarian. I stuck with 3. I cut down half of the field right there, and I went really hard on Josh Allen. So I had my player pool. I hit crunch, and then it builds all of these lineups for me. Now, I just crunched this lineup before I got on here, and I just left it up because it did take it down, just like it did that day. So let's sort by actual score, and here's my lineup. My exact lineup right here is this guy. Oh, no it's not. 188.86. Giants defense. Vikings defense. Did they score the same exact? No. This is a different lineup, but it also, that's insane. Wow. Well, let's talk through this one. Why I got this one. So Josh Allen, Singletary, McKenzie, same thing. Running back ASB, same thing. Ramondre, Justin Jefferson, no Thielen. Richie James was one of those under 20% owned players I had, 15. I wonder if that's, I also got 2nd in this tournament, or 6th in this tournament. I want to look at this lineup. Josh Allen, that might be very similar to this. Josh Allen, McKenzie, Singletary, ASB run back, Jefferson with Ramondre. Huh. Well, that's still pretty cool that I took down the tournament with a completely different lineup with the same score. No. Yeah, 188.86. Yeah, same thing. But yeah, that just shows how volatile this can be. Like, let's run another crunch here. I'm gonna crunch. Crunch is just the program making, it's another 150 lineups, another batch of lineups. Let's see how it would have done. I would have won 3,000 that time. Let's sort by actual score. Let's see the lineup that would have made me the money here. 183.86. 183.86. This exact same lineup, my 6th place lineup, $2,500 lineup. This one that's that same lineup. So that's the one we just covered as well. But yeah, that pretty much covers like everything I run through in an optimizer and how I made the money. So one reason that 3-game slates are so neat, Thanksgiving in particular, and actually tomorrow's 3-game slate on Saturday, there is late swap on every single lineup. So late swap is really, really, really valuable on a 3-game slate. So one of my rules, because I wanted to know a lot about my lineups after the first game. Buffalo Detroit was the first game. So I had a rule set to get me at least 2 players in every single lineup from this game. And that's going to tell me, say I had let's go look. Let's go look at my worst lineup here. Give me some purple in here. Okay, so like right here, I had KJ Osborne and DeAndre Swift in ASB. KJ Osborne is in the last game though, so we need to look at the Buffalo side. Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, 2 duds per se. In this case, after the first game, you don't want to be chalky. You want to kind of get some contrarian players in your lineup after that first game kicks. After that game finishes, you can look at your lineup, see how they're doing, and if you have a lineup that's kind of on the cash line, you can either put some chalky players in there like Adam Thielen, who's going to get you maybe 15 points, and he's going to get you across the finish line, but he's not going to have that crazy upside. Obviously, in this case, he did have that big upside, but so my day-to-day on that particular day, I crunched out my lineups. I lost 634 that time, you can see. But I crunch out my lineups, look at my first game slate, my first game, all of the lineups with a bunch of the first game in it, and then I'll swap players in and out. So I would swap, like, I don't know, just make changes to each lineup like this. And then I'd resubmit and let the second game kick off. Then the Giants and Dallas played, and I might have needed a little bit more upside. I might not have had this lineup to start at the beginning. For my crunch, and I went throughout the day and was swapping throughout the day every single lineup based on how much upside it needed. And that's most likely how I got Adam Thielen in that lineup, is because Singletary didn't do too well, and I needed maybe a little bit upside, a low on play. I might have swapped him in for another player I had in there at some point throughout the day. But late swap is gigantic on those 3-game slates, and you definitely need to look at every single lineup you make, even in cash games. If I'm behind the cash line after the 1 p.m. games and 4 p.m. is about to kick off, and I need a little bit more upside to avoid the chalky build, I can swap and hope that player beats the chalky player, and that puts us above the chalk lineup and cashes us out in the end. Here's my entire build. This is Fantasy Cruncher has lineup study. You can go back and see every single lineup you made, and how it. That's really weird. $50,200 is over the salary cap. How's that possible? This doesn't show you salary cap on here. Something's wrong right there, but yeah, you can go back and see like every single person's lineup. Like, as you can see, 150 maxing a contest is probably ideal, because most likely someone at the top of your tournaments is going to be a 150 maxer, and having the most bullets in that and taking it down, they have the most chances to win. The one lineup, yeah, they hit sometimes, but that's why I do it. That's why I do Chipotle Addict, one of the biggest pros out there, Awesemo, TJ, Head Chopper. Like, all of these guys are pretty known guys that are pros and do this shit every single week and take down tournaments way more than me, because they're 150 maxing and they have their levers pulled in a much better way than I do. There's a lot that goes into it, but I just wanted to get into the process and how I do it on a day-to-day basis, and how I took down this tournament in particular on this day. I hope that helped. I hope that it might push some of you guys that are thinking about using an optimizer away. It might bring some of you in. But it is a lot harder than it looks. You have to, if you just, I don't want to do this, but if you put you're thinking, I'm sure that people are thinking like, oh, I could just make a player pool and just hit crunch and this thing's going to print money for me. Okay, if that's the case, I made all these players 100% exposure, and I'm not going to mess with the thumb stuff. I'm going to disable my rules. Disable everything. So this is pretty much like a raw crunch with no settings on it. And I'm just going to see how it goes. I'm going to crunch this out. Holy shit. I look like an idiot now. I profited $3,000 right there from no rules. No rules at all with this lineup. Josh Allen with Isaiah McKenzie. Just a 1 stack. Run it back with ASB. Jefferson and Ramondre. Wow. It could have to do, like, here, I'll put all the players in the player pool back in. Everybody's in now. And I'm going to hit crunch. I have to lose money here. What? What is going on? I took down the tournament. I wonder if that's the same lineup that I won it with. Actual score. Minnesota defense? No. That's the same one we were on earlier. No? Tony Pollard and Aguilar. No. 191. That's even better. Yeah, I shouldn't have showed this part, but yeah, don't think this is gonna happen every time because it never will. It's just gonna give you the chalk lineup. Like this own 271%. Like chalky, 35% Pollard, chalky. Aguilar's the only low-owned player in there, chalky, decently chalky. Schultz 38%, Justin Jefferson 29, Vikings 24. Like it's just you're not getting any rules in there, and you're not gonna make money long term doing that. Like it could go so south if you do that. But yeah, I just wanted to run down how I did it, and why I do it. Kind of shows you the behind the scenes, all the levers you can pull, the things that you can do. But yeah, I'm gonna continue doing it obviously because I've been doing it for 2 years now and it's worked. Last year I made I think $13,000 one week, and this Thanksgiving slate I made this $18,000. And actually last night on another Thursday night football showdown, I got first place. I split that one, and I profited I think $4,000 on that. So it's a wild ride. It's fun to do. It can go south quick if you don't know what you're doing, but start small if you do it, and you can have a lot of fun doing it, and you can bank a few lineups here and there. So thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, hopefully I can get back on here with another bank and walk you through how I did that one as well.